everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is long awaited. It's a long awaited video. A couple years ago, I had the privilege of playing Hikaru Nakamura in a simultaneous. Yes, the advantage was he was playing many other people at the same time, but that is not what we're focusing on here. We're focusing on the fact that I played the black pieces, I played the French defense, spoiler alert, but we also didn't lose. What was the result, you may ask? Well, let's find out. Alrighty, so Hikaru played e4, and what I'm really happy as well about this experience is that I have some photos of my game where the photographer sort of got some close-ups of Hikaru coming past my board, so I can share those with you after the analysis, or you could probably just fast forward, but I recommend you watch the entire video because it's an important food group. Thank you very much. Alrighty, so e4, e6, queen e2. And back in 2013 or 14, I actually learned about this move the first time. And the whole point of it is that you want to play d5, but after white captures, you're sort of forced to take with the queen because you cannot take with the pawn since it's pinned. So that was something I had to keep in mind when making my next move, so I just decided to play c5 instead. And after g3, we have something that is called the King's Indian attack, or something along those lines. Otherwise known as, well, chess.com is telling me right now, it's called the Shigorin variation. And white fianchettos the bishop to g2, knight e7, and the whole point here is I'm either wanting a Botvinnik type setup with e5, d6, f5, or I might even go e5 to stop white from doing so, and then playing d5 myself just to sort of gain some space, equalize, and then fight for an advantage. I mean, it's kind of natural that you're playing against a super grandmaster, you're nervous, you're shaking in your boots, and you just want to make perfect, solid moves. And the most annoying thing probably is that there were constantly people talking around and you would have to usher them away. Luckily, arbiters came and dealt with them, and suddenly there were no people at all to distract you. But in the photos, you'll definitely see some people walking around. I'll show you those photos really soon. I'm excited to. So we have b4, c takes b4. And what I was really working on here, and what I can remember from the game, is that this bishop is incredibly powerful along this diagonal. And b4 really opens up this diagonal and allows me to possibly either win material or even gain a tempo at some stage. So moving on, we have a takes and e4. And here you can see my plan is pretty obvious. After a move like queen takes e4, I would probably be able to, not that move, I'll probably be able to just take on b4 with the knight and have also a free move at some stage. Now, but probably at a closer look, there are some better moves. I don't even remember looking at this game in the end through the engine, but I know it was much better for me. So he didn't take, he played knight to e1. I took the pawn on b4 with my knight. If pawn takes, I can simply capture the rook. And things got really tactical. So after rook to a4, I played knight to d3 and rook takes e4, just grabbing the bishop at this stage, and bishop to f5. I was putting a lot of pressure on the rook, and this diagonal as well. It's very hard to defend the rook since the rook doesn't really have a safe square to go to on the e-file, and going to the side isn't really possible. Well, this square is not possible, but f3 looks kind of awkward and also leads to bishop to g4. So Hikaru only had one move here, and it was f4. Now opening up a separate diagonal, which I easily took advantage of, with the queen b6, also putting pressure on the knight, which is very hard to see. So there's just really everything slicing down the diagonals and the files, and now we're finding pins all over the place. It was amazing. I felt so confident in this position and a lot more calm. And I was no longer playing the guy who was walking around so many times. It was just me on the board. Okay, at the back of my mind, I was like, if I win, this is a great result. So knight to c2, rook to d1, and bishop to e4. Just trying to simplify. But here, I wasn't yet a pawn up, but there were definitely a lot of weaknesses for white. And there's the pawn. So now we take on e4. The rook cannot capture back because the queen is pinning the king. And king to g2, just taking. And here, I'm very happy to just push my passed pawn. I have one passed pawn. It's an extra pawn as well. It just needs to march up the board. The knight is not going to do enough at stopping it. So queen to d2, rook to d8, and queen to a2. And now I just have to put pressure on the weaknesses. Oops, weaknesses over here. The king is a weakness, this pawn is a weakness, the knight on b1 is really doing nothing, and to like sort of hamper its development and to further sort of press the position and stop the knight from developing, I think bishop g7 plays a really important role. And here queen c5, c4, and knight to b4. Of course, I'm happy to trade. Now the king is even weaker. I'm threatening both the rook and the knight, putting pressure on the knight, and at some stage I'll probably bring my rook in as well. But unfortunately in this position I must have panicked, and I stopped and I looked at him. I said, after making this move, I was like, would you like a draw, Hikaru? I'm nervous. Would you like a draw? And he pretty much grinned, but also half laughed at me, saying, why are you offering a draw? Like, this is completely winning for you. I'm like, well, maybe to you this is just dead winning. He just accepted the draw, we shook hands, and he signed my score sheet. And I actually have the score sheet right here. There's the game with his signature right there. It did happen, guys, it happened. So yes, I'm proud of the game. Yes, I'm really happy that that all came from the French, the Chigorin variation. But the one thing that I would like is revenge. I know the handicap that I had was that he was playing a lot of people, not just me, at the same time. If you ever watch this, Hikaru, this is an official challenge. I need my revenge. You know what I should have done? I should have looked up to the ceiling for some help. Wait. Now I am the ceiling. Is this what, like, Beth Harmon sees when she looks up to the sky? And we're back to normality. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. It's a brand new channel. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new world. Also, here's the photos that I promised. So here's where he was just sort of confused at the position. He was trying to think up what the theory was. I was, of course, just writing my move down. But I was told by the photographer that he spent a substantial amount of time standing there. For me, my heart was throbbing mostly. Then we had another shot of him stopping at my board, me writing down the move that he made, and of course my own move. And there we go, putting my hair behind my ears. So important. People still walking around, chattering around me as well. And I think this was after his b4 move. Yeah. And there's me, hard at work, analyzing the position. And another shot of him making a move, probably knight to e1 after I pushed my e5 pawn to e4. And then a very nice side view of me and my highlighted hair. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching the video, and stay in school, don't do bad things, and don't say check out loud when your opponent clearly knows that it's check.